Alright, we got us a shagbark hickory here. Depending on where you're from, some people say shagbark, some people say shellbark, whatever. Today I'm going to show you what to do to harvest these nuts, how to tell if they're any good, and what to do to cure them to get them ready for long-term storage. And I swear to you, this is one of the best eaten nuts that you'll ever have, on top of a brownie or in a cake or anything like that. Very hard to crack, very hard to get the nut meat out, but it's completely worth it 100%. Stay tuned, here we go. Okay, so here's your typical hickory nut. And as you see, it still has the pulp on the outside of it here, but this one's ready to bust open. So we're going to bust it open, and inside here is the nut that you want. Okay, so this looks like to be a pretty good hickory nut, but at the same time you can't honestly really tell by just your eye. So there's a couple of things that you'll need to do to be able to sort these out. This one will go in a bucket for a further examination. The reason I say that is I don't see any cracks in it. I don't see any holes in it that the bug had been in there and laid its egg. So this one will go in a bucket, and I'll show you a couple other things here real quick. Okay, so here's something I learned a few years back. Let me give you an example here. Here's one. Here's a last year's nut, and there's one that just fell right here beside me. And here's a this year's nut. Now if I bust this one, I could test it for you and show you, but I'm not going to. This nut is not any good. I can actually feel the weight of this, so I know it would fail the test. But this one's ripe and it's ready to go because it's not on a tree. It has fallen, and it's not chewed by a squirrel, so I know it's ripe and it fell by on its own accord. So sometimes you can't get these ones open. It's fine. You can let them set out a couple of days and they'll bust open themselves. But if you're like me, I come out here once, twice, 1 or 2 times a week. This is what I bring. I bring a little hammer, and the reason I do is you just barely touch it and it pops open, and there's your nut. It's ready to go. You can put it in your pile for later on testing, and that is an absolutely beautiful nut. It's good and clean. There's no holes in it. So a little teeny hammer is invaluable. You're not going to break this nut by just tapping that pulpy shell just to get the nut out. So you don't have to worry about that. So there's a quick tip, and it'll save your fingers in the long run too, because you'll get sore fingers from trying to husk these things. I always like to find me a local rock somewhere or backing. As you see, it really speeds this up. That's a last year's, you can tell. And I would say, yeah, that was no good. I'll leave that one out, and I'll show you why that one's no good here in just a second. I'll pick me a good one. Here's one here beside me. Still hasn't cracked yet. You see, it just takes a little pop. So there's a good one, at least. Let me see. Feels to be good, but you never know. So here's one from this year. It's green and brown, so I'm sure that'll have a chance of being good. Throw it up in the bucket. There's a couple other ones here beside me. See how easy that is? Just pops right out. Saves your fingers, speeds you up a little bit. The nut's still in good shape. Now this one here, it actually has a worm in it. I don't know if you can see it or not. See the worm there? That's not the actual worm that's in the nut. You actually get some of these that has a hole in the actual nut, not in the husk, but in the nut. If you see one that has a perfect little hole in it, ditch that bad boy. But that one there, he's inside here. He's just eating the actual husk of it. If you can see him moving there. I'm still not going to harvest that one. That one, I'm going to kill that. I'm going to kill him so he doesn't, I don't know if he'll affect my tree or my nuts. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of him, dispatch him. And that's one less I have to do. That's one less insect I have to worry about. So here's a couple I just picked up here. Look how beautiful that is. That is big and beautiful. There's a little one. This one's already cracked, I mean the shell, so I could probably got that one with my finger. I'm just lazy at times. Makes it a little bit quicker than digging. See, these ones are busted open pretty good. Okay, so you get the gist of it. The hammer makes it quicker, and you can do them by hand if you want to too. Like I said, I just like to do them by a hammer. It just does it quicker. Okay, so you've got your nuts, you've got them in a bucket here, and you're ready to sort them. You've looked at them, they look pretty good. You threw out the ones that are discolored, cracked, or you see a hole in them. These are the two that I put off to the side just a few minutes ago. I wanted to show you. So now, let Mother Nature sort them for you. I don't care how good you are, you cannot pick out all the bad nuts. And if you store a bad nut with your good nuts, you're going to lose all of them. So this is a must-do step before you go any farther. What do? Use water. Water will sort them for you 100% of the time with no fail. Let me show you how. Okay, so all you got to do is get your bucket or whatever you got them in, and you don't have to use a lot of water. All you need to do is use enough to be able to float the bad ones. And as you see here, that's more than enough because I only got a half a dozen or so in there. And as you see floating in here, you have some sinkers and you got some floaters. Well, those ones that are sunk are good. These ones right here, even though they might look good to your eye, and I don't see a hole in them or anything like that, they are not completely full of nut meat. They actually have an air pocket, or they've been contaminated by a bug or something like that. Now some of these you can go ahead and crack now if you want to try to eat some today or in the next few days. Me personally, I get rid of them. I don't want them. So here's two more. So out of the couple of dozen, I may have lost 6 right there. Sometimes you'll get a real good turnout, and you'll get 1 per 10. Sometimes you'll get 6 per 10. You never know. Okay, so here's the 2 nuts I left out from earlier. I told you I had the one from this year. It looks pretty good, and I got one from last year, and it looks pretty good other than discoloration. If this was a this year's nut, I'd probably just went ahead and throw it away because it looks like it's got some mold or something on it. So if I drop these 2 nuts in this bucket, obviously I told you one of them was bad because I could tell by weight. And of course the last year's is sitting there floating around top of the water. It's so buoyant, it's gonna stay there. So this nut is completely bad. You can tell though by this one because it's weight. Now you can get them to feel heavy as a good nut, and it's still bad. So like I said, Mother Nature will sort them out for you 100% of the time. Just because you think it's good and you put it in your drying place to keep with your other one, if it's bad, you've lost them all. So that is one of the most important things that you can do right there. Okay, so after I've shelled them, got the husk off of them, I've water tested them. I know these are good. I'll visually sort these. If I see something that looks like it's got mold or could get mold in it, I'll go ahead and get rid of it. If I see one, even though it sank and like one of these main seams are busted, down and the nuts exposed, I'll go ahead and throw it away too. But what these will do initially is these ones will sit here on this back patio for at least a day until they can get the water off that I used to test them with, and then it'll go into the final stage. Okay, so here's the final stage of these hickory nuts. Not the ones I just picked today, but ones I picked earlier in the year. So what I do is after they're dry is they will hang either outside under my porch, or I'll take them inside. If it's going to rain or anything like that, I'll take them inside. What you want to do is get you a mesh bag. This is just a cheapo laundry bag from the dollar store. You can also use potato sacks or onion sacks, the ones that are not complete plastic but are like this, you know, they got holes through them. You need that air to pass through them. So every couple times a day I'll come out and I'll move them around to make sure that they're getting enough air. They need to set for a minimum of 2 weeks before you put them up for long-term storage. If you can leave them hang a month, that's even better. After they've completely cured, what you want to do is go back and hand sort them one more time. Make sure that they look good before you put them up, and you'll have nuts all winter long. It's that easy. It's 3 steps. Husk them, water sort them, and dry them. You can't ask for anything easier than that. You know, people are becoming less and less self-sufficient nowadays, and this is just one little thing that you can do to make sure that you have a little bit of food in your cabinets. And these right here are great in protein and good fats for you, And if you have a wife or a loved one who likes to cook and she has a recipe for a pecan pie or something, you know, brownies with pecans on it or whatever, put these on them. Shell them, obviously. You'll be amazed at the flavor of these nuts. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope it helped you out. And leave a comment if you have any more questions. Thanks for watching.